Normally when I give talks, I have them without notes, and it's not really memorized, but I tend to ramble and go all over the place. But this talk I thought was very important, and I want to stay on topic, so I have my notes on my cell phone. And no, this is not a talk about cell phone addiction, which I could probably give another speech on at another time. I am here today because I was a victim of a sexual predator as a teenager. It happened almost 40 years ago, but until recently, I told no one. If I can come forward, so can you. There is power and safety in numbers. Even if that number is just one, you are not alone. Do not let these evil sexual predators and those that enable them get away with it. He was an Olympic athlete who came to my high school to work with young male athletes as a coach. I swam and ran track and cross country in my youth, but always felt like an underachiever. My drive to be a better athlete was taken advantage of and used to manipulate me, all solely for the self-deviant gratification of a predator. There was a grooming process. Although I hate the term grooming, that is what it was. This coach infiltrated into my life. He impressed me and others with what I now know were either greatly over-exaggerated or non-existent sporting and academic credentials. He came to my swimming and track meets. He would name drop and show pictures of himself with other athletes, many of them high-profile athletes, star athletes, Olympic athletes. He was there to help make me a better athlete, to actualize on my potential, he would say. I could also be an Olympic-level athlete with his training. I realize now, looking back with my almost 60 years of life perspective, that there were many red flags. This process was classic behavior of a sexual predator to gain total, unquestioning trust. The sexual abuse started in high school after this initial grooming process. The sexual part was all very clinical. He claimed to have a degree in physiotherapy, and during his sessions, one thing would lead to another. He would constantly talk me through as if this was a part of his training, sort of hypnotizing me, putting me in an uncomfortable place to make me mentally stronger. How much could I take? How far could I be pushed? He convinced me that I could use this as mental training and use that during my sporting event to excel. This same type of thing was done repeatedly over a span of almost 4 years while I was in high school and into college until he left the area. I have thought about this daily since then. Trying to process it, to rationalize that this was not abuse. For almost 40 years, I never told anyone. This experience has and had affected me profoundly. It has permeated my life and my relationships. When I first told my wife, her first response was, "Well, that explains a lot." Just great. They say all things must pass, but this does not. It becomes deep-rooted and does not just go away with time. In many ways, I'm stuck at age 16 before this happened. I sometimes feel as if I'm living a parallel life, one where this did happen and one I wish for where it did not. But it did happen. I cannot hide from it. I cannot go back and undo things. I still have many unanswered questions. Why and how? How did I not realize the truth? How could I be so gullible and stupid? Why didn't I do anything about it? Why didn't anyone protect me from this? Was the abuse the price I had to pay for success? Unfortunately, I have learned this is a very common thing, to keep sexual abuse as a child to yourself, to bury it completely, to try and rationalize. Some childhood sexual victims even suppress the abuse so completely that they have no conscious memory of it. It can manifest as physical ailments that go unexplained. Each person processes it in their own way. Up until a few years ago, I may not have even considered myself a victim. It was just something that happened. Something I never spoke about. Not to my wife, not to my family, not to my closest friends, even those friends who were abused by this person as well. So why am I coming forward with this after almost 40 years of keeping it to myself? The easy thing to do is move on. Look forward. It was just something bad that happened long in the past. Let it go. Well, that is what probably would have happened until in 2011, an internet blog, which was a quite obscure blog, mentioned his name. Until then, there had been very little or no internet presence. He was a ghost. But after the mention in the blog, you could Google his name, and this blog came up. Over the next few years, more and more victims would add to it. This eventually led to victims connecting through email, text, and direct calls. The dots of abuse were connecting. Through odd coincidence, I was placed at the center of this. At one of my best friend's son's bar mitzvah, I incidentally met an FBI agent who deals with this exact sort of crime. I talked to her, most of the time in tears, for almost 4 hours. I guess I probably ruined her time at the party, but she was very kind and understanding. She was also an experienced FBI agent who unfortunately had seen the same type of thing many times before. Before the party ended, she told me 2 things. The first was to seek out and group together victims. There is power and safety in numbers. The second was to be persistent. I was doing the right thing. Don't give up no matter how difficult this would be. She would present this to her boss the next day to start an investigation. After that, I reached out to as many as I could. I learned I was not alone, far from it. I have communicated with many. All have a similar story. Each has reacted differently. Some very successful, almost over-successful. Some with broken lives. Who are these victims? They are all men. Sexual abuse does not just happen to women. In general, victims of sexual crimes are way too common. It is estimated that 1 in 6 men and 1 in 4 women have been sexually abused. The victims of this predator were men abused during their adolescent years, but that spans over 50 years and across 2 countries. They are victims of all different ages and stages of life. They are students, artists, investment bankers, doctors and lawyers, retired military, Olympic athletes, former professional athletes, announcers, and politicians. They are also husbands, fathers, sons, brothers, and co-workers, all connected by the abuse of this one person. The connecting of victims eventually led to an arrest in an article and TV segment on ESPN and local press. One day, about 6 months after the ESPN story broke, I was busy in my office running from room to room. I was way behind, as usual, maybe more so, and I had one of my staff helping me to catch up. We both go into an exam room, and there was an elderly female patient of mine in for her yearly exam. As soon as I entered the room, she started to cry. As I grabbed for the tissues, I immediately wondered, uh-oh, what did I do this time? Was she waiting that long? Trying to hold back gentle sobbing, she thanked me for my courage. She proceeded to tell me that she had been sexually abused as a child and never told anyone about it. I was the first and only person. Between her tears, she encouraged me to do whatever I could to stop sexual abuse in children. Some of the victims I communicated with were abused for many years, but it had been many years since. They told me they had put it behind them and they had done well despite the abuse. They did not want to come forward in any way. There was a pause, when I told them I was reaching out to and encouraging other victims to come forward. They told me they had practices and businesses and families that knew nothing about this. They felt I should be considerate of the ramifications of coming forward. The abuse for them happened long ago. Why bring it back? My reply was that yes, coming forward is not easy. Believe me. It will affect your practice or your business. It will affect your family and your friends. But by not coming forward and speaking out, the message being sent was that it was okay. It happened. Nothing to do about it now. Well, childhood sexual abuse can happen to anyone, even your eye doctor like me. But keeping it quiet enables it. It allows it to propagate and continue. My therapy now is to be proactive, to do what I could not do many years ago. To make noise, no matter how difficult that will be. To stop and expose these predators and maybe prevent their acts. To encourage victims of these crimes to come forward. In all of this, the first priority should be the victims, yet I have found this is not the case. These are crimes that affect someone for an entire life, yet they are most often unspoken. Society's view makes victims, like me, feel like they are doing something wrong by speaking out. I am made to feel as if I have committed the crime by coming forward and being open and proactive about it. Victims are made to feel ashamed and encouraged to keep quiet. In most states, laws with absurd statute of limitations also limit and intimidate victims from coming forward. There are also age restrictions that just don't make sense. In most states, a childhood sexual crime is when you're under 18. But is there really much difference between a crime that affects a victim for their entire life, whether you are 17 or 18 or 16 or 20 or even 40 or 60? Sexual abuse can and does happen at any age. The federal laws are even more complex. To make it a federal crime and be under the jurisdiction of the FBI, the victim needs to be under 18, the perpetrator needs to have crossed state lines to commit the crime, and it has to be after 2003 when laws were changed. Finding any victim to come forward is difficult enough. But the follow-up to stop these predators and being able to do something about it is even more difficult. It gives no motivation to come forward. But there is evil in the world. Evil childhood sexual predators. They are rampant in our society. There's a new story almost every month. Sandusky, Nassar, Epstein, the priest, the Boy Scouts. Most victims are silent, embarrassed, afraid of the consequences of coming forward. Many, especially men it seems, have buried it for many years. But if victims had not spoken out, come forward, communicated with each other, gotten into the press, started both criminal and civil lawsuits, Sandusky would still be the football coach, Larry Nassar would still be the team gymnastics doctor, and the evil priest would still be in the church with no consequences for their acts. Sadly, I can go on with many more examples. The strength against this evil, the ability to stop these sexual predators, is in the victims' stories. The victims have the power to change laws and statute of limitations. The victims have the power to educate. By not coming forward, the power is left in the hands of the sexual predators. A few months ago, I was seeing a very nice middle-aged female patient in my office, and just after the slit lamp exam, I slid back. She suddenly lunged forward, grabbed both of my hands, and pulled me in close. She looked me dead in the eye and asked, "Are you okay?" It was like she was looking into my soul. All the abuse came rushing forward to the surface, and I started to cry. So I guess I'm not okay. I cannot get back what was taken from me. But what I can do is look forward and to stop predators and change laws to help prevent this from happening and give others a chance at some sort of justice. I will end with a single thought, the same thought that I began this talk with. If I can come forward, so can you. There is power and safety in numbers, even if that number is just one. You are not alone. Do not let these evil sexual predators and those that enable them get away with it. Thank you.